Okay, tonight we are looking at the layers of the Earth's atmosphere. We're going to attempt to unconfuse ourselves after that exercise in class where we graphed all those temperatures. So since this is the first time we're doing notes this way, all of the slides are going to be over here, and I'm going to be taking notes over here on the right side. You need to make sure that your notes at home match up with my notes over here. So let's get started. So just like the inside of the Earth's atmosphere can be split into layers. And as you guys saw, when we graphed the temperatures, we split those layers based on the changes in the temperature pattern. This red line here is showing the temperature. As you go up towards outer space, it gets colder, then it gets warmer, then it gets colder again, then it gets warmer again. So our main idea will be layers. And we will say that the Earth's atmosphere split into layers based on temperature. All right, temperature is the key. All right, the altitudes that we'll learn are important, but those just happen to be where the temperature changes occur. And it's important to remember that air pressure decreases in all layers. I'm going to put that in caps so that no one forgets. So air pressure decreases in all layers as you go up, and we'll see temperature, though, does some different stuff. So let's start at the bottom where we live, which is the troposphere. All right, so that's going to be a new main idea, troposphere. And in the troposphere, we have, this is the lowest layer of the atmosphere, right? It's right next to the Earth. And as you go up, temperature goes down. So in the troposphere, lowest layer, right? It goes from 0 to 12 kilometers. Temperature decreases. So that means you're going to be warmest at the surface, colder as you go up. And if you've ever been up on the top of a mountain, you know what that means, right? Up high, it tends to be colder. In the troposphere, we get all weather and 80% of the atmosphere's mass. All right, if you need to pause at any point to write down the notes, just pause it, and I'll still be here when you're done. All right, most importantly, we live here. This is good. It has all the air that we breathe. And this picture, which is taken from a space shuttle, the orange sliver right there, that's the troposphere. Just to give you an idea of how tiny this is compared to the mass of the planet. So that's the troposphere. We spend pretty much our entire life here. Next up, we have the stratosphere. All right, not the ride in Las Vegas where you hang off the edge of a building, but a layer of the atmosphere. Stratosphere. And in the stratosphere, this is above the troposphere. It's 12 to 50 kilometers above the surface. 50. And here, temperature rises because the ozone layer, which is in the stratosphere, is trapping the sun's UV radiation. This is the stuff that gives you sunburns. So since the ozone layer blocks these UV radiation, it turns it into heat and the temperature goes up. Now, when we say it goes up, it only goes up to about -5. So definitely not beach weather. So temperature rises, ozone layer is here. And in our picture, this is another picture of space. Here's a space shuttle. All right, this is taken from the space station. It's a pretty cool shot. Troposphere, again in orange. The stratosphere is this really bright white part here. All right, so 12 kilometers to 50 kilometers. Next, we have the mesosphere. All right. Meso means middle in Greek. This is kind of the middle of the atmosphere. All right. And this is 50 to 80 kilometers above the surface. All right, it got warmer in the stratosphere, but it's going to get colder again here. Temperature goes down. All right, and now it's going to get really cold, down to like minus 90. But the cool thing is that meteors burn up here. We see them as shooting stars. And the way I remember this is M, mesosphere, for meteor. All right, mesosphere for meteor. Easy enough. All right, so anytime you go out and see a shooting star, it's actually a little piece of space junk that has fallen into the Earth's atmosphere, and then friction causes it to burn up and not hit you in the head, which is a good thing. Our last layer is the thermosphere. Thermosphere. Oh dear. Thermosphere. There we go. All right, this starts at 80 kilometers, but it has no defined end. All right, we like to say that it dissolves into space. So eventually the thermosphere just kind of ends. The air gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until you basically can't find any more. So it's not like little pockets of air. The air is super spread out. If you took off your spacesuit, you'd die quickly. All right. In this layer, the temperature increases, but you can't feel it because the air pressure is so low. Those air molecules are so spread out that they wouldn't be able to heat up your body at all, and you would freeze / die because there's no air. All right, some satellites orbit here. 1T in satellites. All right, and the International Space Station, which you can see in this picture over here, also orbits in the middle of the thermosphere, about 310 kilometers up. All right, and it turns out that it slows down every time it goes around the Earth just a little bit because of friction. So every couple years they have to put a rocket on it and shoot it back into a higher orbit. So there's your fun space fact for the day. All right, the last little thing that we want to talk about are what are called the pauses. These are the ends of each layer of the atmosphere. So the word pause, right, means to stop. So that means the tropopause is going to be the stop or the end of the troposphere. So the end of each layer, tropopause, ends troposphere, etc. You can write them all out in your notes if you want. It's pretty self-explanatory. You should probably spell troposphere correctly without that H that I put in. And otherwise, that is all there is to it. You can see the pauses labeled in this diagram right here. Tropopause, stratopause, mesopause. All right, that is all there is for layers of the atmosphere. You'll need to know the altitudes that each layer starts and stops at. You'll need to know how the temperature acts in each layer and kind of an interesting fact about each one. So make sure you do a summary at the bottom of your notes. I'm not going to do one. You don't get to copy that. And have a good night.